What's up everybody, it's your boy Hokage here, welcome to the video. Today we are going to talk about the 64th episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. Now before I get into the episode review, I want to say that I did a live reaction to the latest ending that we got in this episode. It's gonna pop up at the end screen of this video, so without further ado, let's get into the review. Straight up, I want to compare this episode to the latest episode for a second. In my episode 63 review, I said that the episode felt a bit dragged out, right? And I want to mention this. I'm mentioning this because there were many flashbacks in this episode as well. But there's a key difference. The flashbacks in this episode felt more natural. And I think that they were overall executed much better. Now, the writers probably added all these flashbacks so they could have, Momoshiki transform at the end of the episode, just like how in the last episode they wanted to have Boruto enter the dimension at the end. So pretty much, I guess this is my prediction, but as I said, I think that those flashbacks in these two episodes were added just so that they could have these hype moments at the end. But that doesn't stop me from enjoying these flashbacks because, as I said, they were done much better in this episode. But anyway, before I get into the whole flashback thing, let's talk about the opening scene of this episode where we see Sarada and Mitsuki. Obviously, we see how terrified Mitsuki is. And obviously it has been established throughout the Boruto series that Boruto and Mitsuki have this symbolic sun-moon relationship, and it's really natural seeing Mitsuki like that. And you see Sarada worried once again, and you see her interacting with Mitsuki. Now, I would like to point out something that I really enjoyed during this scene. Obviously, this scene isn't meant for character development or anything like that. It was just a short conversation. But it really shows how well these characters are written because, for example, you see Sarada smiling when Mitsuki mentioned that Boruto is his son, and she says, "I knew that you were going to say this." And it just shows that over time, these characters got to know each other because obviously Boruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki are on the same team. Boruto and Mitsuki have a special bond, Sarada and Boruto as well, but we never really saw too much of Sarada and Mitsuki. So although this is a small detail, it just shows that they got to know each other, and it's just a natural conversation, which is something that I really enjoy. I mean, the first 50 episodes of Boruto had a lot of slice of life elements, which I really enjoyed. I get it, slice of life isn't for everybody, but this is my opinion, and that's something that I really enjoy about the Boruto series, and I kind of miss some of those slice of life moments. I think I mentioned that in one of my previous videos. But yeah, anyway, we get the opening and all that, and the real shit starts. So anyway, it was stated that Momoshiki took half of Naruto's chakra, and obviously we all saw the movie and we all know how this fight is gonna finish, and even when 50% of his chakra is taken away, Naruto is still so overpowered. I mean, even more than 50% was taken. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the chakra that was being drained in the movie, I remember, I think it was animated like it was orange and here it was red. I could be wrong, but anyway, I don't even know why I said this. But anyway, at one point, while Momoshiki was absorbing the chakra from Naruto, they mentioned Killer Bee and how the Shinju tree, the diamond tree was made from Killer Bee. And then, Naruto was like Old Man Bee or something like that. Now, a lot of people have been asking me for the past couple of weeks, is Killer Bee dead? And I always tell them, I know he's alive. And basically, in the end credits song or whatever of Boruto, the movie, you see Killer Bee or something like that, which kind of confirms that he's alive. And now that, this was stated in this episode, a lot of people are worried. They think that, he's dead. But let me tell you something. If I remember correctly, when, Momoshiki was absorbing the 8 tails from Killer Bee, he was surprised by the fact that there wasn't so much chakra. And yes, the 9 tails has the most chakra out of all tailed beasts, but still, Momoshiki was surprised. And Killer Bee probably did the same trick that he did against Sasuke when Sasuke thought that he kidnapped him. And just because this tree was created from the chakra that he absorbed, that doesn't mean that Killer Bee is dead, unless they decide to change it from the movie, because, at the end of the movie, it's clearly obvious that, Killer Bee is alive. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that for a second. Anyway, as Naruto was talking about ninjas and how they don't want to make it easy for them, and how they function differently from the Otsutsuki's because, they train for years to acquire all these powers. He realizes something about the ninja tool, and he starts thinking about Boruto. Now this is a very nice parallel, because when Naruto was kidnapped, Boruto finally started acknowledging this other side of Naruto, and now that Naruto is about to die, I mean, obviously the Kages and everybody came, but at that moment he doesn't know if he's gonna survive or not. So anyway, he's in this horrible death situation, and he starts I guess thinking about Boruto and realizing some of his mistakes. And as I said, that's a really nice parallel between Boruto and Naruto. It's kind of sad that they couldn't resolve this conflict earlier, but that will make their characters too idealistic. And it's good when characters are flawed, because that makes room for character progression, which is something that I really, really enjoy. And just seeing Naruto thinking, seeing all those flashbacks, it was just wonderful to see, and it was really sad. Anyway, at one point, all the Kages come and Boruto comes, and we have this beautiful moment which made me cry. And by the way, in the last 10 episodes of Boruto, I cried in like 7 of them, which is crazy. It really shows how legendary this arc is, especially when it's so, expanded upon in the anime, when in comparison to the movie and the manga. But anyway, we have this beautiful moment between Naruto and Boruto, where they start talking. And I watched that part of the episode a couple of times. And at first they just look at each other. I don't want to say it's awkward, but you get what I'm trying to say. And then they just start talking. Naruto apologizes to Boruto for everything. Of course, I already mentioned all of those flashbacks. Even in my episode, I don't remember if it was episode 62 review or 61 or 63. But anyway, in one of these reviews, I mentioned that one crucial detail that many people don't bring up often is that Naruto didn't trust Boruto when Boruto told him about the quote-unquote Byakugan. Now, somebody in my comment section corrected me and said he did trust him afterwards. When he was talking to Hiyashi, he was like, yo, I trust him. But what I was trying to say is that in front of Boruto, like in Boruto's eyes, Naruto didn't trust him. And there's just a small detail that's actually not small. So if you get what I'm saying, and that was one of that was shown in one of the flashbacks, which is something that I really enjoyed. And it really shows all these flashbacks. They really show how important the first 50 episodes of Boruto are. They set up all these characters, they developed them in many different ways, and honestly, I'm a big fan of those 50 episodes. Of course, not all of them were perfect. I still remember episode 49 as the worst episode of the series, in my opinion. And I still remember the Hidden Mist arc as the weakest arc of Boruto so far, in my opinion. But it wasn't horrible. In my opinion, it was great. It's just, some people don't enjoy slice of life, so they say stupid things such as first 50 episodes are trash, which is completely ignorant and stupid. You can't just randomly say that 50 episodes worth of content is trash just because you don't enjoy slice of life. And of course, that statement is exaggerated. I do realize that. But just look at the flashbacks in this episode. Everything that happened earlier, it's worth it. Do you guys remember when Shikadai looked at Boruto, when it was shown that Boruto cheated, and the sadness on Shikadai's face? That moment would be impactful regardless. But if it wasn't, if it wasn't for the Byakuya gang arc, it would have been less impactful. Everything in Boruto so far has a purpose. And yeah. Okay, anyway, Naruto and Boruto talk. Naruto apologizes to Boruto, and it just makes me enjoy Naruto's character even more. Many of you know that Naruto is my favorite anime character, not only Naruto/Boruto character. And now that he's kind of, not flawed, but he's still learning, it just makes me enjoy his character even more. That's something that I really love about Itachi's character. throughout, ever since Itachi's backstory was revealed, I was always, my love for the character kept increasing. But the moment he realized that he was wrong for not telling Sasuke the truth and apologizing, it made me like his character even more. Because even the most idealistic and the most perfect characters should learn at least something throughout the course of their stories. And that's exactly what's happening here with Naruto. Despite the fact that he's not the main character anymore, he's not even in, like, he wasn't shown in all Boruto episodes so far. Sometimes we would just barely see him in the episode. Sometimes he wouldn't even show. Despite all of that, he still progresses, and that's something that I really, really enjoy. Of course, he wanted to protect everybody, so he kind of ignored his family. He even acknowledges that. Obviously, Boruto, like, I'm not saying that it wasn't all Naruto's fault. Boruto even mentioned that his pride stopped him from asking Naruto more about himself. And when Boruto says, "I don't know anything about you, Dad," it just hits me. It was really, really emotional. And there's this great moment where Boruto tells him, instead of lecturing me, make sure to tell me about your old stories. And Naruto even says that, when he was a kid, he also wanted attention. He even mentions Iruka Sensei and all that. And I think definitely one of my favorite I was about to say one of my favorite moments. I don't know how. But anyway, one of my favorite moments in all of Boruto, hands down, is when Naruto says, "I never go back on my word because that's my ninja way." And we see all these flashbacks. I think it was the Kabuto fight flashback, Naruto versus Sasuke, like the final clash at the Valley of the End, Itachi, Obito, and when he fuses with Sasuke, and probably something else. But like, again, that part made me cry out of nostalgia and happiness. And just that moment, it was so nice. And you see Boruto giving his hand to Naruto. Naruto stands up, and they're about to kick Momo's ass. And it's just so satisfying seeing the conflict of these two being pretty much resolved, and the amount of development, progression that these two characters had. I just can't describe how happy I was when watching this episode. And yeah. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention one thing. When Sasuke, Boruto, and the Hokages entered Momoshiki's dimension, Naruto talks to Sasuke for a second, and Sasuke said something like, a lot of things happened, but basically he became a shinobi, or he became a ninja, something like that. It's a short line, but it's really enjoyable hearing it from Sasuke, and I just wanted to point that out. But anyway, as I said, I really enjoyed the conversation between Boruto and Naruto. Not probably, but that's my favorite part of this episode, and seeing all of those beautiful, beautiful, beautiful flashbacks. And yeah, anyway, we have a great fighting scene, a well-animated fighting scene between Kinshiki and the Kages. He was tricked, I don't want to say easily, because there were, Kages around him, which is kind of understandable that, he lost. And obviously he was captured. I really, really enjoyed all the fighting moves, and Kagura, oh my god, not Kagura, but Chojuro was cut. We saw some blood there. And one of the lines that he said when he mentioned Kagura, I think it kind of foreshadows that in the future Kagura will become the Mizukage, which is, kind of obvious. Yeah, I could be wrong though, it's not 100% sure. But anyway, Sasuke talks to Momoshiki, and he acknowledges that he realizes how Momoshiki's power works. Even Boruto in this episode told Naruto, don't use ninjutsu against him because he's just gonna absorb it and fire it back at you, and it's gonna be even more powerful. So yeah, that was a nice little detail of Boruto explaining something like that to Naruto. And this really shows, this is my point of view, I don't know about you, but for me it's really enjoyable seeing Naruto and Boruto talking without any conflict. So like when Boruto told him about Momoshiki's power, that's like a couple of lines, right? But just because it was so natural and because it was peaceful, I guess, there wasn't any conflict, I enjoyed that moment. Just those like 2 sentences or whatever. It really shows that the writers did such a great job at establishing this relationship and resolving the conflict in the best way possible. That's how I see it. That's my opinion. You might disagree, but you know, just seeing them talk, it was so satisfying. And anyway, going back to Sasuke acknowledging, you know, the way Momoshiki's power works. I don't even know what I just said, but basically, let's get back to that moment. Momoshiki, he can't do pretty much. He can't do anything, right? You see all these people around him, and obviously we have that epic moment at the end. But before that, I just want to briefly mention, you know, Shikamaru and Shikadai. Seeing Shikadai being worried for his friend, it was truly touching and emotional. And despite the fact that, you know, Shikadai is super intelligent, Shikamaru tells him, "Yo, somebody." Well, I'm not gonna quote the exact word, but the exact words. Excuse me, but basically, they couldn't send anybody else because they have to protect the village. You never know. Excuse me. You never know if the enemy is gonna attack, because obviously there was another Totsuki member there. I'm of course referring to Urashiki, and by the way, we still don't know if he could potentially attack the Hinoli village. I don't know. But anyway, you see Shikadai, the super intelligent kid, saying something like that, and really shows that emotions got ahead of him, and that's because he is a human. And you know, Shikamaru was like, "I thought you were smart enough to know that, you know, we shouldn't send anybody else." Again, I'm not quoting the exact words, but you get what I'm trying to say. And you know, it was just, you know, Shikamaru was kind of harsh in that sentence, but Shikadai knew what his intentions were. He just wanted to help him snap out of it. And of course, you have all these powerful ninjas there, so eventually, we all saw the movie. We know that, you know, everything's gonna be fine at the end and nobody's gonna die. Yeah, anyway, going back to the Momoshiki stuff. Before the transformation at the end, Momoshiki looks at Boruto and he basically reads his fate. Now, for those of you who stick only to the anime, you don't know what this fate is. It's gonna be revealed in the next 2 or 3 episodes. I mean, my prediction is that it's gonna be revealed in the next episode, but they're adding so many flashbacks in all of these episodes. The fate might be revealed in episode 66, potentially even 67, because in the manga, the fate is revealed in chapter 10. And if we look at the past 2 episodes of Boruto, episode 63 adapted chapter 6, episode 64 adapted chapter 7, and according to that, you know, if we follow that sequence, chapter 8 equals to episode 65, episode 66 chapter 9, and episode 67 chapter 10. But I still feel like, you know, okay, we had all these flashbacks, but it's just gonna be fucking fighting right now. And I don't know if they're gonna add more, we'll see. But anyway, that fate, if you stick only to the anime, obviously you don't know what that fate is, but that's something that's something that's crucial, that changes that changes our view on Boruto and the series in general. And it's an iconic moment. Obviously, Momoshiki didn't reveal the fate right now. He just literally read Boruto's fate and mentioned it. He did it with his Byakugan. And, you know, that was this interesting line where he said that, you know, he was referring to Naruto. He calls him Fox, I believe. And he says that you have all that power and you can't pass it to the next generation. And then after that, he absorbs Kinshiki, and he's like, "This is how we do it in our clan," which just shows how messed up the Otsutsuki clan is. And that's probably why Kaguya betrayed them, because originally, I mean, Kaguya was a good person. She was screwed over by humans, and then she wanted to rule over everybody with power, you know, just like Madara. But yeah, let's not talk about Kaguya for a second. Let's talk about something that's very important. I'm not sure where exactly was it the novel, the data book, or something like that, but anyway, Kinshiki is Momoshiki's either foster father or father. That has been stated. And when Kishimoto was, you know, making the Boruto movie, you know, the script and all that, he wanted to make a parallel between Naruto and Boruto and Momoshiki and Kinshiki. Because, you know, you see Naruto and Boruto, they care for each other, and here we have these two people where son basically absorbs his dad. Again, I'm not sure if Kinshiki is Momoshiki's father or foster father, but either way, they have some type of relationship. And another fact that, you know, confirms that the Otsutsuki clan is strange is that, you know, they're so formal despite their, you know, bond, because, like, you know, Momoshiki is Kinshiki, like Kinshiki's Momoshiki's guardian, and they're super formal and all that. But anyway, Kishimoto wanted to make a parallel there. And anyway, Momoshiki casually eats Kinshiki. Literally, that sounds wrong. But yeah, basically, he does his thing with the Rinnegan on his palm, right? He makes, you know, Kinshiki into this chakra fruit, and he eats him. Sasuke tried to cut his neck and all that, but it was too late. It was too late, and everybody was super surprised by the fact that he was casually eating his comrade. But yeah, and obviously we have Momoshiki transforming at the end. I did a video about this yesterday. I already knew that they were going to use the manga version of the, you know, transformed Momoshiki, because in the movie he had a different design. It was very similar to Kidomaru. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but anyway, they used the manga design, and it looks really nice. The Rinnegans, they turn yellow. He has like a Rinnegan here. Kind of looks random, all these, like the design, but it's supposed to be godly, edgy, right? And it's supposed to look badass, and I really enjoyed that design that Momoshiki got. So yeah, and then he says, "Fox, you're next," because obviously he thinks that he absorbed Kinshiki, and then he like says that he will eat Naruto after that, and he probably thinks that he finished off Killer Bee. But as I said, Killer Bee is most likely alive, unless they change it from the movie. But no, he's dead. He's alive. I think he's alive. And the episode ends on a massive cliffhanger. This episode, let's just break it down for a second. A great introduction, you know, this short interaction between Mitsuki and Sarada. It was done really well. It was natural. Great voice acting from Sarada's voice actor, as always. Opening, blah. We see Naruto. We see all these great flashbacks, which were impactful. We see a great fighting scene. We see great interactions. Massive character progression for both Naruto and Boruto. Momoshiki transforming. The fact that he read Boruto's fate, which foreshadows that soon we will learn about this fate. An epic cliffhanger at the end. Great soundtracks in this episode as well. Realistically, this episode was perfect in my opinion. And as I said, you might view these flashbacks differently than me, but for me, they were done really well. And of course, I try to be as objective as possible in my episode reviews, but every single review has to be at least tiny bit subjective. So that's something that you need to take into consideration. And anyway, 10 out of 10 for me for this episode. It was just beautiful. What a time to be a Boruto fan. Anyway, as I said at the start of this video, I will have my live reaction to the 6th ending at the end screen of this video, which will pop up in literally less than a minute. So anyway, Twitter and Discord links are in the description below. Also, link to my second channel where I talk about other anime and manga will be in the description of this video. That was your boy Hokage, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.